Chair now turns to the gentlelady from Oregon for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair Lucas, and thank you to the witnesses. One place where there's a tremendous opportunity to show leadership is in confronting climate change, one of the most important challenges of our time. And as we transition to a carbon-free economy, we need groundbreaking research and advanced technologies to effectively reduce emissions. So, Ms. Wynne-Smith, in your testimony, you noted that China has recently overtaken the U.S. in patents filed for nuclear fusion technologies. Do you have any sense of the relative strength and quality of China's fusion research enterprise overall in comparison to the United States?
Thank you, Congresswoman. I do not have expertise on the Chinese capabilities in laser energy fusion. I believe Director Budell does. But what I do know is they're following the playbook of actually what Japan did some years ago, which is called patent flooding. They're filing a lot of patents around these areas, hoping that they will then be able to fill them in with an innovation. And some of that will come from intellectual property theft and cyber attacks. So increasingly, China is using the patent system in order to steal and use technology from other countries and inventors. So that's one issue.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to follow up with Dr. Budell. Of course, to follow up on fusion first, we've heard a lot of talk from the administration lately, and congratulations, of course, on the fusion integration just a couple months ago. What a remarkable accomplishment. And I wonder, have we seen the willingness to aggressively pursue and support the development and commercialization? And what should future investments look like to continue U.S. leadership and advance research and technology at the pace needed to achieve our goals, including climate goals?
Thank you very much for the question. I think there are some very encouraging signs that there is very strong support for building on the momentum that's been achieved through science and technology advances across the fusion community in the last year. So that's both in inertial confinement fusion, which is the approach we take, and magnetic fusion energy, which is using tokamaks, for example. And there has been a lot of engagement between the Department of Energy, the Office of Science and Technology Policy, and the private sector to try to understand what the key questions are that remain. Of course, investment lags this. Our fusion ignition breakthrough was in December. So we're beginning now to formulate plans for what an investment strategy would look like to solve these critical problems. But across both approaches, materials, challenges, understanding how to operate in radiation environments, understanding how to manage the fuel for fusion reactors, tritium supply, and then recycling and management, understanding balance of plant issues, how to get the energy out of the system and into the grid. And for inertial fusion energy, significant challenges going from a facility that was built to do national security research, one shot, high yield shot per week, to a 10 times per second energy salient ignition facility will be a very significant amount of research for which we don't currently have a substantial program in place.
Thank you. Do you have sufficient workforce to do that?
We do have workforce, and I will say that recruiting is up in the wake of our announcement. Many people joined our lab to pursue this science because they're very passionate about it. It's incredibly difficult and challenging science, but it's also the potential benefits are incredibly galvanizing to students.
To follow up on the workforce, you know, the strategy the law includes provisions to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workforce. Why are these provisions important in developing a national strategy broader than fusion? And how will including people of all backgrounds and experiences help us be competitive and support our efforts to maintain U.S. leadership?
Fundamentally, excellence depends on diversity. Diversity of perspectives, diversity of ideas, diversity of backgrounds, disciplines in every dimension. So if we want to be the best in any given field, it's important that we tap into the potential of all the people who have the inclination and the aptitude to pursue these fields. I really believe that fundamentally is critically important. For science and technology fields like fusion energy, it's even more important because the number of disciplines we need to draw on is vast. The workforce that we need to generate to support this R&D agenda is very large. And so leaving people behind, making assumptions about which institutions or which people should participate is a fundamental barrier to progress in these fields. At the national laboratories, we work very hard to ensure that we have broad and deep outreach programs to a wide variety of academic institutions, spanning two-year institutions where we're generating technologists and technicians that support this research, through to PhD granting institutions, including partnerships with HBCUs and minority-serving institutions, again, to bring along communities that have historically not been represented in the numbers that they should be in these disciplines.
Thank you. And I see my time has expired. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.